All right. We're live. It said we're out of storage, but it lied. Here we are in Plain Traffic, the only show where you can not get hit by a car but still talk about them. And I'm co-host here, Ray Guarino from Motormouth Radio. And we're going to jump right into it tonight.
Hey, guys.
We're jumping right into it tonight. Lewis is going to be, may not be on tonight. He had a bit of a last-minute emergency, and he asked me to take the helm. So here we are. I'm steering.
No problem. No problem.
Hope everything's okay with Lewis.
I hope so too. He didn't elaborate. He just said, "Listen, you got to run the show. Can you do it?" Yes. Okay. Bye. That's how it goes in an emergency, right? It's like,
yeah.
My hair is on fire. Get a bucket of water, or something like that. So I don't think Lewis had a topic planned for tonight. So we, Jim, you can now take the stage and talk about whatever you want to talk about. How's that? Yeah.
First thing I have to do is unmute myself.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Second thing is car show season, because I've been missing it, man. I haven't been anywhere yet this year.
All right. Well, I'll tell you about a really cool one that's coming up this Friday. It's Collector Car Appreciation Day. I got this from multiple sources. Actually, it comes from the Long Island Car Club Council. That's the body that oversees all of the car shows, and they make the calendar for the year here on Long Island. So for anybody who's local, and that would be you, Jim, this Friday night, July 11th, and there's no rain date, this event kicks off at 3 different locations. So if you're west of us here in the western part, you meet at the Manhasset Macy's at the corner of Northern Boulevard and Community Drive. If you're in my area here, you'd meet in Levittown at the South Shore Mall. Levittown at the municipal parking lot behind the Tri-County Flea Market. And for the guys near you, Jim, you'd meet in Bayshore at the South Shore Mall at Sunrise Highway Service Road.
Yeah.
So everybody will gather at those 3 locations, and the caravans will take off at 7 p.m. and head to Tobay Beach on Ocean Parkway. And then the cruise in is going to be just a casual hangout. There'll be no service charge at either the Boatyard Restaurant or the Surf Shack, and a great variety of food and drinks will be had. You park on the eastern side, the right side of the lot after arriving, and there's no cost to participate in any of the things at the event. So there you go. And it didn't say you had to have a classic or collector car, so you could probably show up in your Pinto if you want, which actually now is a collector car.
I was going to say 50-year-old Pintos.
You could. I didn't say classic. I said collector.
I got
erratica collector you are, or eclectic. That's the word.
Right.
Do you have a link to that? Because I found it on Facebook, and just like everything else on Facebook, it just disappears. Like I never get it.
You know, I'm not a big Facebook guy, but I do monitor it for the show, and I'll be scrolling and I'll see something and I'll inadvertently kind of scroll past it and then want to go back, and then it's like everything updates. If you go back to the beginning, everything just keeps updating all the time because there's so many posts. So yeah, I think I do. I think I saved a link from Eddie Muro. I'll send it to you.
Well, you said the Car Club Council, so I probably can search for that and find it that way.
Yeah,
because I saw that. I said, "Wow, this looks pretty cool." You know,
this is something that people do. You know, in all areas that we be here. I mean, they're just doing it. But Brian, I'm sure by you, there's different groups of people and different areas. You just need to have a common place to meet at the end, which would be, you know, in this case, it's Tobay Beach, which is, you know, big. So
I got a few goodies.
What do you got?
The panels for the fenders, the lower panels where the rust is.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So I got those, and even though the inside bracket, which runs down the like where the A pillar is on the inside of the fender, this bracket, both brackets look pretty decent, but this is the lower section of the fender that goes up against the inside of the fender.
Yeah.
I got it just in case. After my little experiment, once I started cutting and finding more, I just wanted to go ahead. It wasn't too bad price-wise for the small piece.
Now that looks like it's about 20 gauge steel, no?
Yeah, it's thick. But I had gotten both left and right, so that stuff came in. See,
who'd you buy that from? AMD?
This was from CJ Ponies.
Okay,
they
all
had.
Right.
I had a. I can't remember if it was 15 or a 20% coupon from my last order with them. They said, please come back. You still have money that you save.
Right.
And the only other thing I got, and these are very important, and I've never, or as long as I had my car, they've never been on the car. They were gone. And these are the clips or the bolts. I mean, the nut inserts. They're a little insert, and they snap in to the bottom of the rocker, and they hold the bottom of the fender.
Right.
To the car.
I've always called those cage nuts. I don't know if that's the correct.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it. They call it fender. Well, they just call it nut set, but I think they are caged.
Right.
I mean, it does have a cage around it. And I've never had them, and I remember I had a Mickey Mouse setup with I had to stick a washer up through the hole with like 1/4x120 bolt that was about 2.5 inches long, and you just kept screwing it until it tightened it all up and held the fender in the bottom place. So
right.
Since I was doing it right or in there, I went ahead and finally got the clips. So that came the other day. That was all exciting. And, like I said, one thing at a time. So
Right.
I talked to it, huh?
No, that's excellent. Isn't it kind of funny when you get stuff like that was common, and they were normal parts on the car, but like you never had them. So now all of a sudden it's special.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing. It's like, wow, I finally got that shoulder headed screw that I never had. There used to be like a sheet metal screw in there. So
you finally put the right screw in, or you had the right spring. You had something stupid for 20 years or whatever. But so then I have a shop owner. He's got a 67, and it's actually it's a parts car. He cut it in half actually to make room, and it's standing up against the wall in the back of the shop. So he's got this. It looks like the old Cadillacs out in the field, stuck in the ground. Because it's just two halves of a Mustang sitting. And I had told him a while back ago I wanted to cut the tunnel out of it, because where his he had where the shifter comes out, or the transfer over the transmission, his tunnel's perfect. And of course, years ago I had put a Vertigate in mine, and I hacked the tunnel all up to get it to fit, the shifter to fit.
Right.
And so I went back. He caught me. It was kind of funny. Before I got to the shop, I pulled in the back and climbed over all the stuff and went back, and I was looking through on his to make sure the tunnel was still okay, because it's been sitting out forever.
Right.
And he had come out and he goes, "You think you're going to take those parts now?" And I was like, "Well, I'm thinking about it."
Yeah.
man, it's like about time. And he goes, that was like how long ago? And I said, hey, man, I got the one side done, and I'm gathering the stuff for when I get into that part of the car. And what I want to do, and I've been looking, to put a bigger radiator in. I'm thinking I want to cut his front nose off, or his radiator support, because they had a 24-inch radiator where mine's a 16 or whatever,
Right.
opening, the whole opening.
Yeah.
And I think I want to cut out his front part. I mean, the front part, and so that I can use that as a guide to cut mine out and put that in. So then I had the factory brackets and everywhere to mount. Because years ago, I mean, back when I drove it, I had put a 24-inch radiator in from a Fairlane, but it was half of it was covered up from the core support, the radiator support, and so I think I'm going to do that. And it was funny, when we were talking about the Ford fan housing on the radiators.
Yeah.
I got to send it to you. I came across a guy on YouTube that put one in, and he said the only downside was that thing operated like on 40 amps.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
And he had problems with his alternator.
Uh-huh.
So he
probably had a 32 amp alternator.
Well, he had a 100 amp alternator in it, but with the stuff. But with the stuff all the other stuff that he had, he didn't like the way it was drawing on the system.
All right.
And
you know what? Let me stop you for a second, because once again, you're reading my mind, and you've just hit 3 topics that I'm in the middle of dealing with. And the first one is, you got those pieces to the panels that you can put in the car, and I just got a tool that you could use to cut them out.
Yep.
Craftsman's having some good sales. And at Lowe's, I went to get a couple of batteries, because I finally got a battery-powered circular saw at Ace. And I go to Lowe's, they had a sale, 2 batteries and a charger for $150. And then I find out, wow, it's 2 4 amp batteries and a charger, and you get a free tool. I'm like, oh shit. It's like, I just bought the freaking thing at the other store. So I took the cutoff tool, and they actually gave you 3 blades with this: a fiber blade, this is a metal composite blade, and a diamond tip blade, which is really cool. So like, I can't wait to cut something. I could have cut my seat brackets with that yesterday, but I used the whiz wheel, with the air-powered whiz wheel.
Just don't cut yourself.
Yeah, well, I always try not to. So, the other thing, we're talking about the fans. I was trying to deal with this company. It's called DeWitt's. All the Corvette guys know about them. They've been dealing with Corvettes for many, many years. And when I was searching for fans, the answer to that question is the high draw fans. Some of the Fords, like the Mark 8 and stuff that I was looking at, and some of the other modern cars, what they do is they use a PWC controller, which is a PWM, I'm sorry, pulse width modulation. They control the motor with frequency, so they can have it virtually at any speed at any time without. So what they do is with the PWM control, if you have one of those really high draw fans in the car, like you said, when that thing starts, it's like when an AC in the house starts or your pool pump starts, boom, it's a shock to the system, draws a big load, and now you have problems with your charging system. See, you make me go like, the conversation is already a tree with branches. The thing that guys have to do when they optimize their charging system, can't just put a bigger alternator in the car and call it a day. The charge wire that comes back has to be made bigger too, preferably.
No, that's true.
So there's a lot of different steps here that a lot of guys don't ever take because they don't know it and they don't know better. But
right,
with the PWM, with the pulse width modulation controlled fans, what it'll do is it'll take that huge load. Sometimes those fans are on a 70 amp fuse, and what it'll do is it'll start it off at like 30 or 40 amps. It'll start it off at a
ramp it up,
and then it'll ramp it up because it just changes the frequency, and that's all. So you need a fan controller at that point, which is also what I'm looking at. So, okay.
No, that's true. And this guy, I mean, I like watching this guy, but again, I take part of his stuff with a grain of salt, and I don't mean to be that way, but a grain of salt, because he's not super mechanically inclined.
Is this a guy on YouTube you're talking about?
Yeah, he's on YouTube. He's got a channel.
What's his channel? Do you remember? You know the channel name?
I'll have to look.
I probably came across him because with the searches I've been doing, I get all these random, when you search
he's been doing a Mustang like mine, 66.
I have watched
65,
the Mustang.
His name is Andy something.
Okay.
I'll find it and send it.
All right.
I mean, personally, like I said, he has some good points in it, but again, very few people, and this is why we get the phone call, Ray, is because when somebody does something, they're 65% there or 70% there. They don't finish the other 30% to make it right.
Exactly.
Or why they still why am I still having issues with this? And it's like, because you needed to add a ground. Something simple can make it right.
Right.
And I run into this a lot. Throughout the day. It's like, dude, all you got, do that. And sometimes people are so pissed off and frustrated. They're like, I'm just going to put this in instead.
Yeah.
And that's why guys like me and you and everybody else on this channel, we pick up stuff for a steal because somebody is done with it and will throw it away.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm looking for the steal because right now I just ramped up my game and I'm going to spend almost $1,000 on not a radiator, on a fan, a shroud, and a controller.
Yeah.
And I could piecemeal it out from different places, but I'm thinking, you know what? Let me just go with the best, and this way there's some support if I need it, and hopefully no problems.
Is the programmer? Is the module programmable?
Many times they are. Now I don't have it yet, so I don't know. There is. I think you can set the parameters. What I'm going to do is I can actually do it now 3 ways. I can use the Holley Sniper to turn on and off the fan because it monitors engine temperature, right? Just like a modern car. Or Bill Carberry, the radiator guy that I use, he says, no, you really want to use the trinary switch on the AC to trigger the fan because the trinary valve measures low and high pressure. So when the pressure reaches the higher limit, boom, you want the fan. Well, modern cars do that too. So I was talking to a guy at, where did I finally got through to someone on the phone. Who the hell was it? I called Vintage Air because I have a Vintage Air system in the car. And I said to him, well, here's my crazy thought. I said, can I trigger it from both of them? I said, because there could be a condition where, let's say, the cooling fan is not on because the engine isn't up to temperature, but I put the AC on and I want the fan on. Or I'm not using the AC, but the cooling temperature goes up to 195 or whatever, and I want the fan on. And he says, yeah, you could actually put both of the leads, and you what you do is you trip the negative ground side of the relay. You don't trip positive, you trip negative. And I said, okay, so that was a question, that I had. But with the controller also needs an input, and the input is always temperature. So typically you'll either use the temperature sensor on the engine or a probe in the radiator or in the hose. I did read on one of them, they said you could also trip it from a trinary valve on an AC. So it looks like it's all going to come together. It's just going to be a matter of which stuff I buy. But I want to be able to trigger it both ways. And then they have a diagram that I found. It almost looks like something out of a kid's book. Somebody drew this.
Oh yeah. I've seen that.
And they actually put in, where is it somewhere? Well, there's actually here. There's like an on-off switch, so you can have a manual switch to override. And a lot of guys that I've been talking to say, "Oh yeah, that's the way you got to go. I like to do it myself." I was like, "No, I want to do it automatically. I want the car to do it for me." You know,
The only time I put a manual switch, because like on my 5.0 on my Mustang, I had, when I put the fan in, I had it set up both ways. I had it on AC, and then I had it on temperature from the thing. But I also put in a manual switch so that there were a few times when it was extremely hot and I had the car off, I could be running the fan, you know, to run when the car was off, just sitting just to whatever was in the, you know, it's only cooling the stuff in the radiator, but it's also, you know, blowing that air across the engine bay area. But just to run it, so when it was, we had a few times it got a little warm. And
well, that's another question I had for these guys. I said, and my Fiat does this. Not all the modern cars do, but I know my Fiat does. If that fan is on when you're driving and you shut the key off, the fan stays. We talked about this. The fan stays on. Yeah. Now that car, it stays on for a while. I never really clocked it, but I'm looking at, if you use the controller, it has that feature. It says leaves the fan on for like 25 to 30 seconds. I'm thinking I want to leave it on a little longer. Then again, the longer you leave it on, you are drawing battery power now because you're not recharging. And
no, that's true. But I mean, like I said, if you have something really hot and you want to, you know, make sure.
Right.
Now, like Porsche did that with the turbo water pumps. So they would be circulating water through the turbo when the car was off or when it was hot, and that would run for X period of time till it reached a certain temperature and it would stop. So that way that you didn't have that heat spike in the turbo or whatever. So, you know, those type of, you know, like I said, actually, I haven't even looked at it, Ray. I'm looking for the box in my cleaning up. I found a box of relays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all these relays. And I thought I said it. Actually, I had a little line of stuff when I was on the radio with you, because I didn't know where we were going to go. You know, I had stuff ready. I was ready to pull. I was ready to show you up. I was going to have stuff on demand, but I don't know what to do with that box.
You know, while you mention that, let me ask you: are you using the same setup now that you use? I don't know why you were in and out, and I don't know why. I mean, it should really be. What?
I want to tell you exactly when it happened. When Rob was sitting at the table, okay, when he was sitting at the table and he said, "Give me a minute," and when he got up, that's when it changed. I heard it click, and I heard that's when I started echoing really bad, and everything you said after it was dead.
No, I know why that was. I know what happened, and I actually broke my pattern. You know, I do the same things the same way because I'll forget. And
a good border.
You have to do it. You have to do it, and especially with him, he's got to be your size. You know,
he's a big guy. Yeah,
he's probably bigger and shorter, but he's an immovable object. I try to squeeze between him and the counter so I could either get the meeting up, or I could load a CD. And I'm like this. I'm like, get out of my way, you fat bastard! It's like, and he don't move. He doesn't move. You're like, oh, what? You need me to move? Like, I need you to move. So, but at the end of the show, he uses a computer. There's two computers I need. It's a PC, and that runs the Zoom meeting. But I then have to go over to the Mac, and I'm not a Mac guy, so that thing better work or I'm screwed. And I have to join the meeting on the Mac, and that's where the camera is. So that's the camera that sees me, and it's also the computer that anybody else comes in on. So you come in over that Mac, and what I have to do is once I join the meeting and log into it, I remember I got to go down and I have to mute the microphone. And I didn't do that Sunday because it was like last second. I didn't have time, and I was more concerned with getting over to make sure I could start the recording in time, and that's where the echo was. So when he killed his use of the Mac, that's what opened up that loop, and that's where the echo comes from. So as soon as
Yeah.
you sent me a text, I saw it, but I'm like, wait a minute. I'm doing all the show start stuff. So I'm now I got to process another piece of information. And luckily, in about in a half a second, I was able to think of it and say, oh, wait a minute. I looked right at that monitor and I saw the microphone was live.
But
Just like here, it comes on with another mic and echo.
Yeah, all the times, I've never had that lag as long as it did. Because I was trying so hard I had to watch what you were saying, and I couldn't time it. I tried because you would start and then sit there, and I was like, okay, damn it.
I know.
So,
well, and the same thing, you would start to say something, and then you would drop out. So the worst thing, Jim will tell you this: the one thing you never want to have is dead air.
Yeah.
So a half a second, it sounds clunky. It's not the worst thing in the world. You don't want 3 and 4 seconds. Now you're getting a call from the station manager. Hey, what are you doing? How come there's dead air? Believe me, I've got those calls, all those texts. I know what it's like. So you would start to talk and then drop out. And I'd see you were talking. And I was like, okay, I got to make a decision. I either talk over you to keep something going on, to keep content, or I wait. So I would always wait that extra second and hope you'd come back. And you always did. But it was like, I got home. I took a nap when I got home. I was so shot. I was so tired. When I get home, I got to download the audio, download the video, write up a text, send it to him. I got to post it up on 2 YouTube sites. I got to send it over to Chris. I got to archive it in another spot. I got about an hour and a half of work when I get home. I went upstairs. I'll go up and I'll do something else. And at 5 o'clock, I come down and I listen to it and I make, I catalog the show. I fell asleep. I was like out.
Yeah, well, I was like, and then I know that you tried, and then you was like, hey, Brian, just tell us what you're doing, just to let me talk. It was like, just keep talking and don't stop, and I'm like, well, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and I'm like, God, I was a disaster.
Well, I will tell you this, that is the gift, if you have it, like, when Chris and I are doing the show, it's a real gift. He knows what I have to do. After I start the show and say hello, I have to now clear the one computer and get all the spots up for the bottom of the hour. I want that up now. I want that up at 12:05. I don't want to wait. Yeah. And I've seen Rob and I've seen Kim. I've seen Rob do this, and I tell him, dude, I bow to you. He'll have 4 spots on that thing. He's playing a song on the last one. The other ones are already dead, and it times out. And I'm like, Rob, you don't have another song up there. Oh, no. It's like, 15 seconds, 14, 13. He's like, oh, yeah, well, I'll figure something out. What should I play? And he's talking to me off the air. And I'm like, dude, I would have 4 things up there already. And he's at the last second, he just goes, slides something over, boom, hits the button, and there it goes. I was like, man, you have the constitution of like I don't know, some kind of freaking soldier, man. It scares the hell out of me. But then again, with, I guess he can always come on and just start talking,
Yeah.
But he does it so calmly, I'm not saying he doesn't take it seriously. I take it very seriously, so I never want to be caught. So like I was saying, when I do that in the beginning of the show, if you watch the YouTube video, you'll see that I'm typically looking to my left, because now I'm arranging that stuff on a computer, and Chris knows he'll just talk. And that's the beauty when you have a co-host. You just know when to talk. Like, just fill in,
And to be able to talk. That's actually a lot harder than most people think.
It is. It really is.
Imagine talking for 2 minutes without breaks and just going. It's hard.
It is.
It's the one thing
I
can't
can babble
do.
pretty good. It's just, like I said, what to babble about.
Yeah, it's got to be coherent.
Just keep babbling. It doesn't matter. As long as you're saying something, it's going over the air, it's good.
Well, that was kind of one of the ways that I earned my spot. When I first started, it was Chris and this other guy, Mikey T, and me. I think I was doing a show with them for 2-3 weeks. And, I had the ability to do it with them. But at one point, Kim came in and there was something that was important. And she had to pull Chris away from the board. And Mike went over to get in on it. And they left me with a live mic. And I saw what was going on. So I just, I couldn't say anything to them, obviously. So I just kind of like ad-libbed it. I just kind of went and And then they came back, and and it was it. But after the show, they said to me, "Hey, you know what? You just earned your stripes." They said, when your co-hosts walk away from you and leave you cold, it's like you got to put up or shut up, and you didn't shut up. He says that's a good sign. I was like, man, I didn't know what to do. And then early on, when I was with them, I had a dream one night, and I had never run the board yet. It was years before I would run the board, but I had a dream that I was running the board, and like Chris had to step away or something, and I had to fill in, and I hit a button, and I just heard, and everything just went dead. I was like, ah! I woke up like sweating, because like that's the worst thing that could happen when you're running a live board. Well, I'll tell you something. About a year ago, I had a couple guys in the studio. I don't remember who they were. I think it was the guys from the T-Bird Club, and I was just going live, and as the music was playing, I told them, okay, we're going to go live in about 10 seconds. And the one guy's asking me, hey, where can I put this headset? And I said, oh, there's a jack right there under the table. I go live. I start talking. I heard the plug go in. It went click, and then I heard boof, and the whole board and computers went black. Everything out. I was like, oh no, that was the dream I had. It was timed perfectly. So he's like, what did I do? Because you heard it over the headphones, everything popped. I'm like, you plug the headphones. Kim comes in. What happened? I'm like, he plugged the headphones in. We lost everything. It ends up it was a power failure.
Oh,
so it happened to be one of those stupid coincidences that was perfectly timed, but it literally took the whole place out. We were still streaming, but the air signal was down. So I think people were calling in and texting and saying, yeah, we still got the stream. So we just kept doing the show. I had no board. I had no computer. I had no nothing. So we just talked, and then finally, they got it back. But yeah, weird stuff happens. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Of course, station managers on the phone. What'd you do? What happened? What you guys? We didn't do anything. Give me a break.
Yeah. Hang on, the fire's almost out.
Yeah, we were cutting cables. Yeah, right. Crazy.
Oh, I don't know if you saw this, but Justin chimed in on YouTube. He says he's done a couple of fan AC setups for LS swaps that can trigger it both ways.
Right. And he probably did it the same way, I would imagine. Where is Justin? Tell him to get on. Tell him to come on the show.
I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah, Justin, come on the show. Tell us about it. Yeah, the guys like that do it all the time. I'm sure they've done that, and I really don't have a doubt that it's going to work. But like I was saying before, I found this place, DeWitt's, because I want to use a shroud. I want that fan in a shroud, and I decided to go with a single fan, a big single fan. And DeWitt's happens to sell a SPAL brushless fan, and it's the brushless fans that you can use the pulse width modulation control with. And they sell the fan and the shroud. It's almost $800. Then you got to get your controller. But the shroud has a couple of pre-made cut lines in it that you can cut to adapt. They have it set up on a side tank radiator. Mine's a top tank radiator. So I called them the other day. I just want to ask them, can I take that shroud and turn it 90 degrees so it's going up and down? Will it fit my dimensions? I just want to talk to somebody there because they make it. I had the phone set up. I put it on speaker. An hour I was on like a hold. I finally said, out of hell with it. I called back later, and I got a message like, the party you are calling is not here. Please leave a message. So I sent them an email. They said, on their site, send us a message. We'll get back to you. They haven't got back to me yet. So I know they're a good company because I ran it by the guys at the Corvette Club, and they said, yeah, they're one of the top guys. They just happen to make this part, so I want to talk to them. Because, and then actually, no, what I was going to say, yeah, they sell it for about $800. But I noticed that, like a lot of places, if you go to Jegs Speedway or Summit, you can get it for like $7.99. And yeah, and I'll tell you why. This happened to me many years ago when I was buying parts for the car, and I wanted to buy Brady brake hoses, and I wanted to use Russell because I know their name. So I saw them in Summit and Jegs and whatnot, but I called Russell and I said, listen, I want to order a set of brake hoses. I need 3 brake hoses for my car. And they gave me a price. I'm like, wow, that price is higher than what I've been seeing. And they said, well, where have you been looking? I said, well, I saw, Summit and Jegs. She goes, yeah. She says, we actually give our dealer network a better price matrix, and we encourage our customers to deal with them, not us. We want it. They buy from bulk from us, and they can discount it. So we want you to deal with them. We'll sell it to you, but for more money. So if you want to say, and it was the first I ever saw that, and I thought it was kind of weird. And now, again, here's DeWitt selling it for like $8, but the other retailers have it for like $7.99. So I'll go through it. But again, I just want to ask the guys a damn question, and that's frustrating when you can't get through. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'll drive you nuts.
And then I know I'm going to take the fan off. So I actually saw someone on one of the YouTube videos. A guy was, I don't even remember what car he was working on, but he showed, remove the fan. And then he gave me a great idea. Now you got to put bolts back in the pulley, just to hold the pulley on. And he used button head Allens because they take up less space. And I said, perfect. That's what I need. 4 button head Allens. So I pulled one of the bolts out last night. Good thing I did, because I knew they were 5/16. They were 5/16 24. They're fine thread, not coarse thread. So I was at Lowe's today. I'm shopping, looking through their bins, and they didn't have it. I'm gonna have to go to the motorcycle shop and get some button head Allens.
Yeah, go to a Ace Hardware. You need to go, because they usually have a better nut and bolt selection.
Right.
I did the same thing. Actually, that's what I decided on for the tail lights.
Right.
For the connection, because I found some, because those are 7. What was it? Would be 7
millimeters?
No.
16s.
It's not quite. They're not 1/4 by 20. They're the size under that.
3/16. Yeah.
3/16 by whatever, 7/32. I mean, whatever the thread size. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
an odd, a little bit of oddball, yeah.
But so I dug around, drove the guy crazy, because I first went to Lowe's, and I went to Home Depot, and I went through all the drawers. Of course, it's a disaster, trying to find everything. And I said, well, let me stop by the Ace Hardware by the house. Walked in, and I said, look, dude, I'm just looking at your nuts and bolts. I don't need any help. And sure enough, nice, organized, found
there's a joke in there somewhere,
Yeah, I know. Well, like I said, unfortunately, being a big guy, sometimes you can get away with that when you're you're going to inspect nuts and bolts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they just say, whatever, dude, you're too much to handle. But and like I said, found the size I needed, and that was it. Like I said, grabbed them and out the door. Now a little bit more money, but it's exactly.
The Ace by Me is very good too. They used to have it on the back wall. Now they made a couple of aisles. It's 2 aisles that are double-sided, and you can get anything from wood screws to brass. You can get stainless steel, chrome. They got a ton of stuff. Although I did need something recently. I always need the oddball stuff. I needed something that was, I think it was an oddball length or whatever, and they didn't have it. I even went in telling the guy, I don't think you're going to have it. I just got to do my due diligence and check. And they didn't. But yeah, I recommend going there too. I do.
And then 5-6 miles the other way from my house, we have it's Christopher's hardware store. And this guy, I love this place because this is old school stuff.
Right.
I mean, he used to be in an older building, which I love the smell. And he moved over the newer building. He's been there for a while, but starting to get that smell that the old
hardware
school
store smell.
Hardware, yeah. And but he even has 10 times more hardware. I mean, you want to talk about? He's down to any kind of spring brushes for generators. Anything that you need that you could think of. He's got, and when I really think about something odd or different, I go there and dig through his collection.
There was a hardware store in the town here where I live when I moved in. It's when Home Depot opened up a town away, they ended up closing. but it was run by two brothers, and I mean, wood floors that creaked, wood bins with all the stuff in it, and the guys had to be in their 90s. They were so small and fragile, and at the time I was working on my Harley, I was doing an external oiling system with copper line, and I needed some 3/16 copper tube. So these guys always surprised me with what they had. So I went in there and I asked him, I said, you have 3/16, copper tubing? He goes, yeah, I think we got some. I said, all right, just point me, I'll just show me where and I'll find it. No. He goes, I think we have it up there. And he had one of those ladders that rolled, with the wheels on it and all. And it was like way up at the ceiling. And the guy starts climbing. I'm like, whoa, hold on. I said, wait a minute. I said, I'll go up there and get it. I was like 30 something at the time, and he's like 90. I said, listen, I'll go up and get it. Don't go climbing the ladder. I feel at least if I had to catch him, I could because he was small. But he's like, no, it's okay. I'll get it. And he climbs up and he grabs this roll, blows dust off it. And he comes down and there's a big tag on it. And I said, okay, well, he goes, well, how much do you need? I really needed like a foot and a half or whatever. I said, well, yeah, how much is it? He goes, well, the tag says it's 28 cents a foot. I was like, what year did you put that tag on there? I said, it's more than that now. No, that's what it says. That's what I'm selling it for. I said, oh, shit, give me 3 feet. It's like, I still have the extra in the garage. I'm like, I felt bad making him go up there. I almost wanted to take what he had so he wouldn't have to go back up. So, and like I said, they since closed, and unfortunately, Home Depot.
Yeah, we had that's the same thing over by where my parents. The guy that had that hardware store, what he did back in the 70s here. Now they were talking a long time ago. He bought all of the remaining supplies from when the houses were built in the neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
So, so if you fast forward 10, 15 years down the road and you needed a handle to match your other handles, he had the handle to match.
Right.
And, he had all the, the hinges, whatever they used in the houses, he had all that stuff. Sure. So, like I said, it was awesome to go in there because especially, I know we're still alive and I have to watch what I say, but when you had a house party and you destroyed something in the house, all you had to do was go up and see him and you can get the part to fix. And it was the same thing that you originally had,
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew supposedly, except when you were sneaky like my father and you mixed the paint and you painted the garage door the wrong color. But,
All right, so here's our fan expert, OCD as he is.
Very OCD.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I want you to get up with your blackboard and chalk and start drawing. We're taking notes. I got my pencil and paper. Go,
got
Professor.
The chalk creaking on the board already.
Yeah.
Yep, go, Professor.
You actually kind of hit it right, Ray. At least what we've been typically doing, because like with our LS setups, you can trigger your fans, and the same with the vintage air, you can trigger it when the pressure gets too high. Really, just running that trinary switch, so you have both options.
Right.
And that's
a lot of these controllers they come with a separate temp sensor. I don't have another bung to put a temp sensor in. I've seen guys actually use like a Y configuration made out of brass. That looks like crap.
We've done it before where we've welded a bung in the top of the radiator near where your inlet comes in, and that works in certain situations. But
I've seen that too.
Since you've already got the sniper, you've already got one way to trigger it.
Right. Hey, speaking of that, just to divert a little, I was watching a video. Again, random stuff pops up in your feed, and a guy, actually it was Kiwi, from Kiwi's Customs and Classics down in Tennessee. He got a Camaro in that has a sniper on it. He said he worked on the car many times, and now it was running like crap. This time it wouldn't even start. You see there was like more gas would come out of the pipes. He's blaming the sniper. So, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what are you triggering it with? Like, what's the ignition? And he didn't say. But he got in touch with Holly, and it was a a version 1 sniper, which is what I have, and he said Holly is going to take that back. He says they could either retrofit it, or there were 2 options. Oh, they could either repair his, whatever the problem was, or retrofit it to a Sniper 2. And I said, wow, when the winter comes, I'm going to see if I can do that. If I can send I have 2, I have dual quad. So one of them has the ECU in it. The other one is just a slave, just like a dual quad setup. I want to see if I can send them the main sniper and have them upgraded to a Sniper 2 spec.
We've got one out right now that they're doing that too.
Do they, did they give you a price on what they charge to do that?
I don't know.
No, okay. I'll find out. Well, yeah, because that's going to be sweet. I think I'll do that. And yeah. So, what have your fan choices have been lately? What do you like to use on the cars?
We use a lot of Spall stuff. I mean, a lot of our setups, especially for building something from scratch, is all from Be Cool.
Okay.
And so there's all come with Spall fans and their shrouds and everything. Yeah, I mean, we've always had good luck with Spalls, so that's kind of what we stuck to.
I got a little. I learned a few things. They talk about the blade configuration, and I learned that straight blade fans will move the most amount of air, but they're the noisiest. And then like Spall uses those S blade fans, the curved fans, which don't move as much air, but they're quieter. And then Spall has an S blade composite fan. I think it's a glass filled composite that fills the gap where it moves more air and it's quiet. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to look for one of those, the big Spall.
That brings you back to the old days of those Flexalites. Remember how when you plugged it up, when they came out, man, they screamed. They made a lot of noise.
Yes,
they were moving a lot of air.
That's right. Yeah.
So the old Flex fans.
Yeah.
I had one of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the shroud is key. I mean, I have a pair of Maradyne fans that I could use, but I don't have a shroud for it. And Maradyne sells them in a shroud. So I called them and said, listen, I need to buy a shroud for these fans. Oh, we don't sell just a shroud. I'm like, what? I said, well, why not? Well, we sell it as a unit. I said, well, what if somebody cracks a shroud or they have an accident or something happens? Well, typically people will just replace the whole thing. I'm like, no.
that guy that I was talking about, he changed. And we had the guy on the show, that cooling fan guy. Was it cool? That radiator. No, what was that guy's name?
I don't remember.
God, I don't have my. It was a cool. It was cool something.
How long ago was it? I'll look in the book.
It was a while back.
Let's see.
And we had him on, and I think he was from Maryland, because we started talking. And what was that guy's name? God, what was that? Let me see. I don't know if I still have it on my phone. But that's what that guy went to with, because they were 1 inch and was in a fan shroud. It was, but he used their radiator, so it bolted right in. God, what was that, man? That was terrible. I'm so bad.
Well, I'm back to January, and I don't see anybody that did anything with a cooler. We had Brian Nutter from Summit a couple times, and he was talking about pistons. Yeah, I don't know who that was. Don't know. That wasn't Mike Ring from the Ring Brothers, that's for sure. I don't know. Yeah, so, but like I said, the thing that's pissing me off is I'm trying to call this place to talk to them, and I can't get
Champion.
through.
It was Champion Cooling System.
Okay, yeah, they make radiators. Yeah, they're big. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that guy, and that's what this guy ran. And they sell a fan shroud that bolted right. Because he had the fans, I think, and he needed the shroud one way or the other. But they had that. It was Champion Cooling System.
Okay, yeah, they're very big. Another one of the big guys. And yeah, because I think Frostbite was bought by somebody. I think by Be Cool or something. I remember somebody bought them out. But yeah, so
Yeah, so Be Cool is a pretty big one.
yeah. So I went through. Justin, I was telling Brian, I went through I ordered those aftermarket seats for my car with the bolsters, and it's got the Pontiac, panel inset. They're Pro Car Touring 2 seats. So I ordered them back in January.
This is
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with the Maridines. They said, well, you
and
can
that's a top rated tank. That's a top cork tank.
Yeah. I actually saw a guy on YouTube who had the same problem, and he said, I really want a shroud. So what he did was he went and got a big cookie sheet, an aluminum cookie sheet, and started with that and cut the hole and then of course you got to mount it to the radiator, which is another thing. I want to do it right. I don't want to just go sending screws through places. That's kind of ridiculous. That's the next hurdle.
Zip ties. You get colored zip ties off Amazon. It's Prime Week. Go for it, Ray. Go for
Some gold zip ties.
Pretty pink. Oh, gold to match the engine. Zip ties.
I have some goldish yellow. I do, but I'm not zip tied.
Think style here, Brian. Come on.
Yeah,
I know, man. I know. I'm boring. I'm just black and white. I'm sorry.
Me too. So, talking about manufacturer's problems again, right? The seats, I had to order special brackets to mount the seats. The brackets match the floor pattern, and then they mount to the brackets that go on the bottom of the seat. So
Ideally.
ideally. All of that was key word there. All of that was back ordered. So I'm down in the Carolinas. Actually, it was the day I was coming home. My daughter says to me, Dad, 2 giant boxes came for you outside. I'm like, oh, my seats. So get the seats. Then I see they have the sliders on them and these 2 brackets that are like 20 inches long, and they have like goalposts on the end with 3 slotted holes in it on each side. That's so you can set the height adjustment of the seat. The couple days later, the other brackets come, and literally it's just 2 pieces of tubing, steel tubing, with flat iron across the front. The tubing is what mounts into those raised sections with the slots. You put actually fine thread bolts, and they're metric.
Yep.
By 1.25. Oh yeah, I always check. I never take it for granted. So I go to put that bracket, this floor bracket, into the brackets on the seat, and it won't go in. So I'm like, wow, if I pry these things open a little, I'm like, nah, that's not right. So I call Procar. I call the seat manufacturer. I said, okay, look, I got a guy in the tech line. And I said, good, this is the guy I want to talk to. He said, this is what I got. I have these seats, these brackets. He goes, well, what's your order number? I said, no, I didn't order from you. I ordered from OPG, and that's where I got the stuff from. I said, now these brackets don't fit into the floor brackets, don't fit into the seat brackets. He says, oh, wow, that's kind of odd. He says, listen, you have a tape measure handy? Can you measure them? Yeah, I got a tape measure. I said, 15 3/8. I said, by my eye, it's 1/8 too big. So he pulls up an engineering drawing, and he says, yeah, it's supposed to be 15 1/4. I said, damn, that's 1/8 too smaller, right? He goes, okay. I said, so now what do we do? He goes, well, I think you have 2 choices. He says, one, if you're industrious and you know how to do this stuff, go get yourself a whiz wheel and just cut 1/8 off of each one, redress the end, chase the holes, and you're good to go. I said, okay. He says, number 2 is call OPG, tell them what happened. He goes, because if you got a bad set, there's probably other ones out there, maybe you got the one oddball. I said, okay. So since I was conversing with this guy and we had a kind of a good rapport going, I said, all right. I said, I've already made up my mind, but let's talk this through. I said, let's go with option 2. I said, I call OPG and I'm going to get a salesman. I said, now you're a tech guy. You probably did sales somewhere in your life. Oh, yeah, I graduated. I said, okay, so you know where I'm going here. I'm going to get a salesman. I'm going to tell him my problem. He's going to say, oh, gee, no, that's wrong. That shouldn't be like that. And I'm going to ask him, on your recommendation, can you go out into the warehouse, pull another set, and measure him? I said, now, first of all, I got to get him off his fat ass in his air-conditioned office and go into the hot, musty warehouse, pull a set, measure them, and actually know how to use a tape measure to get the correct measurement, and then come back and report. I said, it's all looking bad to me. Anything there is going to work. I said, so based on that, I'm going with option 2. Option number 1, I said, I'll cut them myself. That's exactly what I did. So he was laughing.
What you, what you
Because
should have done.
Yeah, what's that?
What you should have done is said, hey, you need to call them and say these are wrong. Send me out another set so that you have a spare set so that you can, when you fabricate them, and if you mess it up, you still have something to use.
Well, I could still call OPGI and tell them and complain. Well, I told the guy, I said, let's put this in perspective. I said, I ordered these parts in January. The seats came like a week ago. The brackets came 2 days ago. It's July. I said, so if they got a bunch of these, they're probably all, I said, let's face it, whoever made them on whatever little assembly line where they jigged them up and welded them together, I said, they're probably all wrong. So yeah. I said, I'll call them and let them know. But I said, no, I think, this is a job for the fabricator.
You
just
picked
the right choice.
Play it right and say, hey, look, I've been driving my car, my classic goat, with a milk carton and a seatbelt. My ass is all waffled up, and I want to put these seats in. Could you send me out another set, and hopefully it won't take 6 months? You want me to call for you, Ray? You want me to call for you?
A lawsuit.
Yeah, those ones will be wrong too.
I have another conundrum too, and this one I didn't see coming. When I unboxed, actually, FedEx delivered these things. Let me tell you, they were not gentle.
No.
They took the seats, because now these seats will fold back like a Nash Rambler. They'll fold flat. So they fold them flat and put them in the box. So it's a long box. The length of a bucket seat opened up. They're big boxes. They're not super heavy, but they're big. Both of the boxes, they taped them on the long ends and the short ends. Only one short end on both boxes had tape that held left. I was able to lift the box lid up like a hood, and even though that the studs on the bottom of the seats, they have lock nuts on them, and they had wrapped those with foam and tape, and like all of them came through the bottom of the boxes. So from throwing them around, these things got tossed pretty heavily. So I wasn't too impressed with FedEx, and it was funny because on the way home, you're on the road and all you're doing is you're passing trucks all day, and I can't tell you how many freaking FedEx trucks I saw that were like, one of them probably had my seats in them. So
it's just funny you say that guy said that those being wrong in length is unusual, because it's not. That's like all of the time.
Yeah, you've had that problem, I guess.
It's the other big problem I've had with their brackets is, you buy them for, like you said, a GTO or a Chevelle or a Mustang or whatever. Then actually the legs having the right bolt pattern.
Oh yeah, right. The footprint. Well, the thing that looks good is on the front of the brackets there's a single hole, and the back there's double holes. I remember when I put some seats in the car, I saw double holes, so that does seem to be convention.
Okay.
So that's I have hope for that. I didn't trial fit it yet, but yeah. Now I got to gut the interior of the car, and now I'm going to put the I did it tilt column in. I want to do that when the driver's seat is out, so I could actually lay on the floor without a seat in my way. Then I bought a gold carpet for the car, so I'll lay the gold carpet in, and then I'll just put the seats in, and I'll be, that'll be my interior mods for this year.
You mean you don't want to do mechanic yoga?
Isaac, I've done so much of that. I'm afraid one of these days I'm not going to unfold.
Yeah, exactly.
I got pictures of me working on, I think, the Grand National. My head's up under the dash. I was doing the brake rod.
Yeah.
No fun on a G-body. So my head is way up under the dash, and my feet, I have to hang my feet out over the door. Otherwise, I get leg cramps. So, and one of the guys in the shop came and took pictures of me. I'm like, oh, thank you. See if I can find one. I probably have it somewhere. But yeah, funny stuff. Funny stuff. But yeah, I guess it's good to know that it's it's kind of common problems, even though it's a pain in the neck. But,
Well, that's the sad part about it, and we've had this discussion before. 90% of all this stuff you got to fabricate. After spending the big money, you still have to fabricate.
right.
I mean, or make it work. I mean, just because, and of course they get away with it because they say, well, we didn't say, I love how they say, oh, this is a direct replacement, but some modification might be needed. Well, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
kind of a headache.
I always say that it's a direct bolt in after I make it directly bolt in.
Exactly.
Yeah, after.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So that's like I said, even you'd be surprised on how much work you got. Nothing is just bolt on. I mean, that's with everything. I mean, even if you're doing, well, that Ray, you probably ran Isaac. You probably all ran into that redoing your bathroom and upstairs.
Oh yeah,
You get a sink. You get a sink or hell, go buy a toilet and get stuff for a toilet. And like I said, nothing but, you're modifying everything you just bought so that it fits in what you're doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So just depend,
Well, hell, on Friday, about 10 o'clock at night, I hear a loud whine and then a clunk. My blower motor for my AC in the house went out.
Oh no.
And we've been in this house for 20 years and we've never had to change it. And I take the panel out, I start looking at stuff. Thank God there was an HVAC store open on Saturday. But it took me all day because I'm sitting while trying to fish the thing out carefully. But then the motor that was in there was a 3-wire. I think they said it was a 1-speed, and the universal motor that they sell is a 3-speed with I think 6 wires.
Oh wow.
And so and none of them, they're all color coordinated for what's current today, but none of the colors that are on the motor that was in there are on this motor. So right. I'm having to try to remember what the guy at the store told me. Thank God he wrote a couple things down. I'm having to go online. And every time I'd go online and try to check it, it's saying, oh, you plug it into the circuit board. And I'm like, there's no circuit board on my system.
Yeah.
My system's old. So, yeah. Yep. Had to sit there and figure it out and make it work. And I mean, it works. And thank God it works, because they said yesterday we hit 113.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
A friend of mine, he has an outdoor hot tub. And about a year ago, I came over and I helped him rebuild the pump in the motor, did shaft seals and bearings and all, because I'd done it, did it on a swimming pool, so it's a piece of cake. And now this year, he was rebuilding and doing stuff. He finally decided I'm buying a new hot tub. So he decided he would do as much of the disconnection as he could, and maybe even get the hot tub out to the front so the guys wouldn't have to wrestle with it. And he disconnected all the electric, which was pretty simple. There was 3 wires. But he calls me one day. He said, he sends me a text with a picture. He goes, hey, the guy is here and he's saying he's got to run new wires. He goes, does this make sense to you? And he's not sure how to hook this up. So he shows me a picture of the wires, and it was like, I forget if it was 2 blacks and a white, or a black, a white, and a red. And I said to him, you obviously you got a 220 line there. And I said, typically you should have like 2 blacks, a white, and a green, to have 2 carriers, a neutral and a ground. I said, but you don't. I said, so I can't tell you what's what. I said, do you remember how you disconnected them? He says, it looked so easy. I took them out and I knew where they went. He goes, I should have probably labeled them. I'm like, yeah, you probably should have labeled them. So I said, listen, with a voltmeter, you can check this easy enough, because the hots are going to have power. The ground's going to be ground, and the neutral is just a traveler. So it ended up the guy that came was able to figure it out. But I said, yeah, that's what happens when you take stuff apart like that.
Yeah,
Without-
the
Okay.
thermostat wires, because I had to undo the wire nuts and stuff on those, so I could get what I needed out, and those I did label.
Yeah, smart.
I took masking tape and I just put 1, 2, 3, and and of course the same number for the coinciding wire was, I figured, the easiest to do.
Right.
And then I did take pictures of all the wires for the motor and where they went to prior to unplugging everything. Oh, and I turned the power off. I didn't zap myself.
That's smart. Well, I did recently buy myself a Klein tool circuit tracer, which is great. You can either plug it into an outlet, or they give you an adapter to put on the plug end with alligator clips so you can clip it onto wires. And then the other half is the transducer. You go down to the breaker box and you scan the breakers, and it'll beep solid when it's the line that you left you have the receiver when the transmitter.
Yeah.
And that's a great, and it's inexpensive. I mean, it's really not a lot of money.
That's the way that power probe thing works for tracing out wiring harness.
Exactly. Same exact
You
thing.
have
Yes.
your transponder on one end, and you just run it along, and you pick it up.
Got that power probe tool here somewhere. So, yeah, absolutely. No, that's the way you want to do it. So, yeah, fun stuff. Oh boy. So, Brian, now you're going to be doing more metal work, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've got quite a bit more to go, but like I said, it's it's getting into the groove, and like I said, it's I'm trying not to be super anal about it, but again, it's unfortunately it's me, so
Right.
I weld, grind, looks good. I paint it black. It looks a little shitty, so I clean it up some more. I mean, like I said, it's just time consuming, but like I said, I'm ecstatic. I've done so much in a short time, and hopefully, I just have to control my patience. I got to have a little bit more patience. I start getting a little antsy, and I try to remind myself you don't want to come back to this. You want to just do it right, and if you have to wait an extra day for something, or this isn't a Survivor thing where you're trying to get off the island. Just wait, and that's like I said, it wasn't much more for it, but that's when I started cutting the spot welds on those brackets, and I said, I'll go ahead and get the replacement just in case, because I know after my last adventure, all of a sudden sticking the finger through the frame, that I just might as well have it and go with it. So
your biggest problem is watching the clock for the bewitching hour.
yeah, well, my curfew time is one thing, but it was kind of funny that guy that wants to buy those hypo heads from me.
Yeah.
I don't know. You remember?
Oh yeah.
He's like, comes up to me on Saturday and goes, "All right, man, seriously, I want those heads." And I said, look, dude, I told you I will eat dirt before I sell you those heads. I'm not selling you the heads. And he's like, I want the heads. And I said, you're not getting them.
What led up to that determination, by the way? Your part.
On mine?
Yeah.
Because I know I will be pissed when I sell them. I just want them. They're mine.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you have 2 sets?
Yeah. I got
Okay.
3.
All right.
I got a set on the car, I got a set on the motor, and I got 2 sitting here.
All right, let's make it easy. Give them to me. I'll sell them to him and give you the money.
Oh. No, I'll tell you why. Because this guy wants me to give them to him.
Well, no,
And
obviously that's not
No,
going to
no, no.
happen.
This is unfortunately the bottom line here. Okay, this guy's got a very nice early K code factory car, Mustang fastback, early 65 K code car, beautiful car. It's been restored. It's probably, he could probably easy get 40, maybe even 50,000 for this car. But the one thing holding it back is it doesn't have the original. He's got the original motor, but it's not in because he needs these heads, and these heads are date coded for that time period. And I'm not going to sell him. He wants to give me $500 for a set of heads so that he can have an $80,000 car.
All right. Well, did you ever have the serious conversation about him? Like, dude, let's get real and talk real value here.
Well, that's when I told him. Originally, remember, I told him I want a set of fenders. I wanted a set of factory fenders.
Right.
And he said, well, that's a little hard, but I might be able to do that. And of course, he skated around, and he's like, oh, I can get these, I get that. And I said, those are reproductions. I can get those. But I said, I'm not going to sell you the heads, dude, because, like I said, you're only being nice to me to get the heads. 2 weeks ago, you never talked to me, and now you want to be my friend?
Well,
I'm sorry. I just have a real hard time with that.
Well, look, there's other guys around. Some of them have been here that'll talk to you all day, and they're still not worth the time of day. So you might as well make some money. Listen, give him the I don't want to sell it price and see what he says.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you get to walk away from him. So and the other thing is, let me take the pious approach here and say, for the benefit and enrichment and advancement of another Mustang owner, you could actually, see another car be original. You have that power in your hand right here.
Well, I'm sure.
On the positive side, if it goes across the auction block, it's out of his hands, and maybe somebody that would appreciate it would have it.
True too.
I'm because actually, honestly, it's a 5-bolt hypo. That's that car. That motor's rare, dude. That's a 5.
What do you mean a 5-bolt hypo?
Where the bell housing bolts on. It's only 5 bolts instead of 6.
Why? What? How come this? What happened to the 6 bolt?
Well, it's the holes in the top center instead of off to the 2 on the side.
Yeah, that's exactly what I pictured. But why?
Right. That's Ford. I mean, that was early stuff. That was.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like I said, these are the little things when people walk up and they say, "Holy shit," or they're like, "Oh, you're full of shit."
So can you see that by looking in the car, by looking in the back? Okay. Yeah, good enough. All right. So listen, this is what other people see when they walk up on me working on a car. That's the Grand National. That's what it looks like under the dash. Oh, that's the wrong picture. Let me see. I had a couple like that.
Brian, can you do any research online to see what those heads are worth, what they're going for in the general market?
I've looked. Well, I haven't looked really hard. I mean, I've seen them. Like I said, they're usually 1,000 or so a piece.
Tell the guy $5,000. See what he does. See what he does.
Yeah.
He's either realizing that this isn't going to work. He may start talking you down a little bit, or at least it'll be more than 500.
Well, that's what I said. You give him I don't want to sell it price.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I tell him.
I remember when Dan Short came on here. and he actually went out and bought a brand new set of the trim for a 63 Corvette split window. And he said the full set was $20,000.
And that was for trim?
That was just the window trim.
Wow.
That was nuts. But it's a 63 Corvette. Where are you going to get it?
Right.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Well, that's
Nice.
like.
Where are you going to get these heads? Here they are, Ben.
Yeah, well, I know personally. Well, I you know, he wants the easy button because he knows he doesn't have to drive up. He doesn't want to go digging through Carlisle, or he doesn't want to go up to Hershey, or he doesn't want to dig anywhere. He wants to drive around the corner from his house and pull in my driveway and me drop him in his trunk. It's supposed to be
who
happy.
wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
Well,
Yeah, look at all the aggravation you're saving him.
Yeah, I
I'm up
know.
with
I
Todd
want to give him more aggravation. And like I said, well, don't you want to go dig around up in the pouring down rain in Carlisle? You saw how happy I was with my fenders. I mean, come on.
Yes, absolutely. No two ways about it.
So,
hey, if he takes the I don't want to sell it price and he coughs up the cash, that's cash that'll go into your Mustang.
Sure.
Yeah, well,
and
that's
and if you do it quickly, then that's she don't know money.
Yeah, Mama don't.
It's already well. The only problem is we're still alive, and that's Mama don't know money. But yeah, that's trouble.
Oh, did I say that? I didn't say that. I meant I meant your mom won't know about it.
Yeah, honestly, I have me personally, as you can tell, I have a hard time getting rid of stuff. And when I get rid of it, I don't particularly like that. So unless, like I said, the only thing that really bothers me, honestly, about it is, and all the time beforehand, the guy never wanted to say anything, but when he found out I had the heads, now he wants to be my buddy.
Well,
and I hate fake fucking people.
Yeah, I know.
And I have a real problem with that, and I'd have a hard time expressing my inner feelings towards that. But
I see that.
Don't be my friend for a fucking day to get a bologna sandwich from me, and then go tell me to get F off when you've been fed.
That's why he has to pay up like a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get him off your back. It's like what the hell movie was that? Not Carlito's Way.
Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale, where the kid complains to the mob boss. He goes, "Hey, this kid, I lent him $20, and he won't pay me. He keeps running away from me." And the mob boss says, "You know what? Forget about it. Let it go." He goes, "You let it go. He'll never come near you again because he's always afraid of you." He goes, "It's the best $20 you ever spent." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah.
So you do the opposite. Then again, that guy could be the guy that comes back to you and says, "Oh, there's an imperfection here, or the paint is weird, or there's a flaw in the casting." Get out of it.
Yeah.
All sales final.
Or hey, you want to cough up one of those fenders from Carlisle?
All right, guys, I got a bail.
All right, Jim. Good
to see you guys.
Hey, man.
Good talking.
All right.
Be safe.
Be safe.
So, who is a Datsun Z car fan?
A Datsun Z car, yeah.
Datsun Z.
I like
2260s.
Yeah.
I got a guy coming on the show Sunday. He wrote a book. It is the pre-ultimate restoration manual for Datsun Zs. He used his own car. And actually, his car came out so perfect that Nissan bought it back from him in 1990 to put in their museum.
Wow. That's awesome.
I've been emailing with this guy back and forth now since he agreed to come on. And man, this guy, you want to talk about someone who can talk? He's sending me like 4-page emails every time with everything he's ever did. Like, wow.
So, I saw somewhere online recently, and I don't remember the name of the company. I don't think it's through Nissan, but they started releasing a cast of a dual overhead cam for that inline 6. So when Nissan originally released that car to the public, and I think it was the 260. They did have I think it's called the Yamaha head, because in conjunction with Yamaha, there are like a
Sweet.
tiny few that have the dual overhead cam, because they were all single overhead.
Right.
And then there's this company that recently, I think it was probably about a year ago, I was, going down rabbit holes on the internet, and this company was releasing a dual overhead cam, and I guess it's for that motor, but I guess it's more of a modern technology setup from what I gathered when I skimmed over the page. But
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. No, that was a straight 6. The 40s were multi-carb. Then they went injection somewhere along the line. But yeah, they weren't known to be fast. They were torquey, I guess.
yeah.
And I missed out on one because there was a friend of the family. He's my older brother's age, and this guy, he had a really nice Roadrunner when he came back from his time in Vietnam. Beautiful Roadrunner. I wish he had that now. It's like that argent silver color with black stripes. Oh, it's sweet. But had some nice cars too. We were talking about the T-Birds, Brian, the seats. He had one of those 66 T-Birds. That's where I first saw that wraparound back seat. I had to be like 10 years old, and he pulls up in his T-Bird. I'm like, I think it was like a burgundy maroon color car with a black interior. I'm like, wow. I fell in love with that interior even at 10 years old. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But then later on, this had to be, it was in the 70s. And he went down to the local Datsun dealer, and he put money down on it was probably a 260Z. Just thinking about the year range. I don't remember what year the car. So anyway, he wanted a silver car. That was his preference, and a black interior. And he went down to pick it up, and they didn't have a lot of stock and a lot of inventory back then. So they said, well, we got good news and bad news. What's that? Well, we got, 5-6 cars in, but your car isn't one of them in the color you wanted. He says, what do you mean? He says, I ordered it. He goes, yeah, I know. It may come in. It may, it'll probably take it. We don't know because it's coming from Japan. It could be a week, could be a month. We got these other cars in, and I think a couple of them were already accounted for. They had a couple that were available, and the one that was available there was a green one, and I think some other color. He goes, no, I don't want that. I want, because it was like a pea green. I wanted silver.
Yeah.
So they said, well, there's nothing else we can do for you. I'll give you a really good deal on this one. He says, no, I can't drive that. So he ends up buying a Datsun 610 instead, which was kind of cool. It was was that a 6 or a 4? I have the book for it. I could look.
It's 4.
It was probably a 4.
They came in 4.
Yeah.
And it was an automatic, but that car had an independent rear. So, but it was silver with a black interior. So he buys it because he liked the silver. And he drove it for a number of years. And then, now I'm in my teens at the time. And he asked me, he goes, listen, I'm going to be getting rid of the Datsun. You want it? I'm like, well, and I always liked having 2 cars. I like to have one that was a beater, but of decent quality. And I had my GTO and I had other cars. So it ends up, he gave me the car. He goes, I'm just going to give it to you. I'm like, okay. So I took it and drove it. That's the car that made me buy Snap-on wrenches. And I can tell you the story if you care to hear it. But I sold the car to a guy from the school, and then I went back to driving my Camaro, which I should have never sold. And then about a year or so later, he gets hold of me again. He's got another car. He had bought a Datsun 510 after that. That was a 4-cylinder with a stick, with a live axle in the rear. So, and it was a 2-door. They were both 2-doors, so that was kind of cool. So I took the 510, and I was commuting at the time for work, so it was great. No AC, just crank the windows down, and it was real kind of bare bones. It was a great commuter, great on gas. And when I went to sell that car, the first guy that saw it called me, and he came and he bought it. Him and his son came, no questions asked, and they took the car. me being a little, I guess, sheltered, I wasn't really into the Datsuns. I mean, I drove it as a work car, so I really didn't care. I found out later that they use those as rally cars. The 510 still, if you have a
Yeah.
510, you have gold. And
It's
this
a
car,
hot car.
it was clean. It had no rust. It was always adult driven, even by me. And man, if I had it back, I could have probably sold it for probably got another $1,000 for it. But
Easy.
BR, I think it's BRE Racing.
Yep.
The guy that worked on the Shelbys, is it Brock? Anyways, he raced them. He road course raced them. I think it was what was it, SCCA? That 610. I was just looking it up. They were all 4 cylinders, and there was one 6 cylinder that was offered.
it was kind of cool because it was a 4-cylinder carbureted and had a dual point distributor, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And in fact, if I go into my file cabinet over here, I did finally get an Aurora 510 that was in race trim with the stripes and the numbers and all. So I got a 510 back, but it's in miniature. So what's happening, Keith?
Not much. Yeah. AC's broke at the house again.
Oh no! You hanging out with Isaac?
Yeah, mine. I just had to
yours broke too?
Just go buy
had to replace the blower motor.
Just go buy a new
no,
startup capacitor. That's 9 out of 10 times it's a startup cap.
No, it's the coil. I saw it was freezing. Like the coils keep. This is like I can tell you. I've been keeping track now. It's like the 8th one, I think.
So how are you surviving in South Florida with no AC?
Well, now we have window units all over the place.
Oh Jesus!
So the
Ridiculous.
the cooling coil keeps freezing.
No. So the evaporator leaks.
Okay.
So it when I went out there, I'm like, oh, wasn't cooling. So I went out there and I saw it was freezing up. So when it gets low on refrigerant, it starts freezing up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I called the guy who was on 4th of July. And he goes, even on the 4th of July? I'm like, yeah, it only happens on holidays.
Yeah.
It doesn't break during, normal day. It's holidays. It was Mother's Day and New Year's Eve and, next time it'll probably be Thanksgiving or Christmas. That'll be about the right time.
I actually hate to say it, but if all my plans come through, I may be living in a place where I'll use AC on New Year's Eve. I was down in the Carolinas just a couple of weeks ago, man, and it was like brutal as it was up here. Just freaking brutal.
Yeah.
The good thing is all the houses that are on the market that they seriously want to sell, even though they're empty, they leave the AC on. So you walk into a cold house.
Yes, that's cool. Yeah. They want it to be
walk
nice.
into a hot house, man, you're just going to be like right out the door.
Yeah. Well, especially with all that humidity down there. You got the heat and humidity.
We got it up here too. I said today, Brian, I don't know about you, but today we had cloud cover all day. So it was in the 80s early. Then it went to like 77. It was actually really nice to sit outside.
Today was nice. Yeah. It was cloud cover all day. All day, and it actually started dropping in temperature a little bit.
I'm looking now outside. It's 74 degrees outside.
Send that stuff this
we're
way.
sitting at 76.
Yeah.
Send the cloud cover too, because
I get it. I got a text from my daughter. When I was down there, I worked on my daughter's RAV4, and the Volvo that I bought for them, the XC90. I know up here the guy said my buddy said they charged it. I went down there last year and he said, yeah, it was spotty. So they took it to a shop. They didn't fix it. I gave it a little zip. It was okay. Now my daughter tells me the other day, her husband comes home because he was actually he was feeling weird. He was seeing things because it was 118 degrees in the Volvo. I said, did he open the windows? I was like, get rid of that fucking thing. Just get rid of it, and get something else with working AC. Get a freaking Tercel or a Camry. I don't care, anything.
Yeah.
So this is the 8th evaporator coil, and this last one,
is it leaking the refrigerant out of the coil?
Yeah, you know where it has so it goes through the coil, it loops around, and then on the end, they solder it, right? They solder another loop on there, little U, and it always leaks right at those U joints, those connectors. Like the solder is getting corroded or something.
You know, I would think they do that like a radiator, where they would dip that in just a vat of, like, hot solder.
So yeah,
Think.
so I had it coated one time with this stuff, bronze coating. That lasted almost a year.
So you think that you think the weather or the elements are getting at it?
I don't know. The other old AC that was like from 2005 didn't rot out.
Of course not.
So I mean,
you know what?
New stuff is a lot thinner.
The 1958 Amana refrigerator freezer that Brian has in his mom's garage, that's still working too.
Yeah, I have a package unit. I can't remember what brand it is. AC that my friend gave me that was in a house, and so it was probably in the house for like 15 years. This thing's probably like 20 years old, maybe 25 years old, and it still cools my shop. It's still working.
Yeah.
You know what I saw? I'm sorry. What I saw a lot of down in South, because I was going between North and South Carolina, a lot of houses have 2 compressors outside. I don't know if they're using one as a backup or if they're alternating them, but it's no joke down there.
No, they run just 2. If they have upstairs or whatever, they're running 2 sections.
So just splitting it. Okay, yeah.
I have a friend that has 3 ACs. He has there's this, looks like a closet. And I'm like, what's behind? When he first got the house, we're just showing us the house. I mean, what's in here? I go, this closet. He goes, no, it's 3 air handlers stuck up there.
Wow.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's like a 5,000 square foot house. And I'm like, man,
so
breaks here.
I mean, the AC guy would be the guy who knows, and I think I know what the answer is, but it sounds like it's the quality of the product that's being made today.
That's what he said. Yeah. So
you got to find guys got new old stock sitting on a shelf somewhere.
That's what I told him. I go, can I go buy an old one?
Right.
Old version?
No joke, man.
Yeah. There? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it, though, then you would be like, you would have to pay some type of a penalty because you bought a non-compliant issue because it's too old or something.
Yeah, the SEER rating is too low. It's too high or whatever.
Well, that just means you don't have the same efficiency, but I wouldn't be telling anybody.
Yeah.
Supposedly, so like say for one of those old ones, and of course when it kicks on, that's when it hits the most power drain.
Yeah.
But supposedly, so you have that startup capacitor outside, but I seen a video the other day. I should have saved it.
Kickstart.
Yeah, that's what it was. Where that box. So you could go with an old one, and it would help. At least from what I saw. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I had that on. I had that on the old one.
Oh, did it?
The house was dim when it would come on the old one.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to tell you something.
So that kickstart did help?
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
The technology.
I haven't done this one yet because I haven't had a solid AC yet.
Yeah.
This thing solid and runs, and I could sneak one on there, and then not having the guy come out every 6 months going looking at the unit.
I'm going to tell you the technology exists because I set up the apartment upstairs for my daughter, and we just bought 2 window ACs. And the 8,000 CFM unit I bought, you put it on eco mode, and it does just like what that pulse width modulation control does. It starts it off slow. It doesn't give it a heavy load, and then it ramps it up. And it's funny because I put a 5,000 or 5,500 in the bedroom, and I found that thing just starts on high, and it only goes down to 64 degrees. And I said, when did they change that? Well, the 8,000 goes down to 60. I said, that's more like it.
Yeah.
But
well,
I'll tell you,
Keith, right now we're having a special. I can sell you a cordless Milwaukee soldering iron. You get 2 free batteries, and we'll just send that out, and you can solder the leak each time and just refill and go. Come on.
That's what I was telling the guy. I go, how hard is it to fit? I'll freaking re-solder all these damn things. Is that what I have to do? I'll learn how to bronze. I'll be an expert bronzer after I do all this.
Sure.
The
one time he fixed it, he's like, he fixed one hole, he put stuff in it, and I call him the next day. I go, it stopped working again. He came out and he goes, it's going to leak somewhere else. I'm like, we just put a new coil and forget it. It's
oh my God.
Except I have to pay for the refrigerant and the labor.
Right.
Yeah.
Put ACs all in the house. in the windows.
We had the same thing for a short time when we changed our unit, and we had a problem with the manifold going to the coil, and it would for whatever reason it was leaking there, and the guy tried to solder. Same thing. Couple, 3 days would go by. Hey man, we got a problem. Come back out. Finally they had to play around, but they got the company that we bought the thing from, the manufacturer. They actually end up sending a new coil thing out. The whole coil, because that's where the manifold, where it was soldered. Yeah. Knock on wood. A lot of effing wood, because we haven't had a problem, and that's. Yeah. I don't need that right now.
After the last photo went out, I told him, I want to keep the coil. I'm going to look at it into getting one made thicker, better, So I did look into that, and it was like $3,000. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, to get a coil made.
Where did you go?
What? Huh?
Who did you go to? An AC guy?
Yeah, there's some company in Tampa.
Try a radiator shop.
This place, they make custom, like, commercial grade. Like, if you have a custom AC you want to set up, like at some commercial unit, they'll build it. So they could just. So I kept the old one. I go, I have the old one. Can you just copy this, but with better material, so it won't leak? And he goes, oh yeah, we can do it. And he says about $3,000. Like,
wow.
Holy crap! I don't want to do that.
All right.
So.
Let me just stop you. I'm going to end the live stream, and then we'll continue on. So with that, we will end this week's episode of Plane and Traffic with your crew in charge, Ray, Brian, Justin, Isaac, Richard Nixon, and and Keith. And we'll be back again next week, hopefully with Lewis Lee, and we'll talk about more stuff. So we're out. See ya.
Out. See ya.